Here we are, another episode of season 4 with Smoking Section Podcast. We have here, as my friend called it, a big get. Um, we have here with us a 3-time BMI Songwriter of the Year, a 2-time ACM Songwriter of the Year, a 3-time CMA Triple Play Award recipient. For those of you who don't know what a CMA Triple Play Award means, that this guy got 6 number ones in a 12-month period. 12 months. He has written 29 number one hits, from Dierks Bentley to Brad Eldridge to Darius Rucker. You name it, he's probably been in the room with him. And he's produced them. Ross Copperman, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Marcus. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. This is a pleasure. This is an honor. So we're going to start right here because you're from Virginia. I have family in Virginia right now.
All right.
Yeah, I'm originally from Philadelphia, so Virginia is just not for me, but just for my family.
That's funny.
So let's talk about what was the childhood like for Ross Copperman in Virginia.
I grew up in a small town in Roanoke, Virginia, man. I went to a small high school, Glenver High School, and I lived that country life that I write songs about, and played football but I did. Yeah.
You played football?
Yeah.
What position did you play?
The starting center of my whole career. I weighed 165 pounds, but I could bench press like 250.
Oh,
I was kind of a little stronger then, but I still got run over a lot. A lot of big nose guards running me over.
Lord Jesus. I can only imagine your mom sitting on the sidelines like,
oh my God,
don't
Marcus,
hit my baby. Don't hit my.
She still talks about it, Marcus. She hated it. She don't hit his hand. Don't hurt his hands.
Don't hurt his
like
hands.
Piano. So it was like my
Right.
hands were the thing. I'd jam a finger and I couldn't play piano for 3 weeks. And
oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You giving your mother heart attacks. Come on now. Come on.
Yeah, she really did, Marcus.
So you started playing piano. You've been playing piano what, since you've been 3?
Yeah, about 3, just banging on it.
So was that something? Obviously, I don't know if I doubt that was something that you decided to do. So does music run in your family? Like, is that what it was? Like, does music run in your family?
It, man. You know what? It probably was my mother's mother, who I never met. She actually died in a car accident when she was a 16-year-old girl. I never met her, but she was a classical pianist, and she played Rachmaninoff and Beethoven and all these pieces. And so my mom grew up with that in her household. And I guess when I started tinkering on the piano, it probably brought back those feelings for her. And so she thought, I'm going to cultivate this. And so I just had that realization. And that's probably why my mom pushed me into piano and probably bring back those feelings,
Wow. So now I'm going to fast forward because I want to know this. You're from Virginia. How the hell did you start having an artist career in the UK?
Long story short, I started going to New York City and playing at the Bitter End, which was a little venue in the Village. And I started playing songwriter shows there once a month, met some A&R people, got a development deal with RCA. That led to meeting some other people in the music industry. And then I got offered a record deal with Phonogenic Records in the UK, which was Natasha Bedingfield's label at the time, and the Script. And these guys just said, I was 23 years old. They said, you want to move to London and put out a record? And I was a kid. I was a young kid. I didn't know what I was doing. And I said yes. And it was a time of my life, but it was also the worst time of my life. It was hard to move to a city you don't know anybody, and I didn't know what I was doing. Thought I was better than I was. So many mistakes that I've learned.
So would you, looking back now after all the success that you had, would you go back and do that? Would you if you had a time travel box, would you go back and relive those moments or go through the same thing again?
Wow.
Because we always say to ourselves, If I
Yeah.
didn't know now what I know then.
Oh, man, I would go back and I would take my wife with me
Okay.
to do it with me. Because if I had my wife with me, it would played out a completely different way.
Wow.
She's as much a part of my success as I am.
Right.
I always feel like you have to have that partner in your
Yeah.
life, no matter what it is you're doing, that supports you, and somebody that I can't do it by myself. I can't. Yeah,
She keeps
it
you level headed.
keeps me level headed. Absolutely that. Uh, oh God.
She keeps you
My
level.
album,
She kept.
my album is called Welcome to Reality. That had me. She's always like, "Wow, if they could really welcome to reality, if they could really see the reality here."
I love it. I love that. Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
and you're absolutely right. You always like there's whether it's a best friend, whether it's a spouse, you need someone around
exactly.
to always be there for you and always keep you sane.
100%. 100%. And just somebody to be. Everybody needs that. It could be your mom, could be your dad,
Yeah.
could be a sister, a brother, could be a pet. I mean, you just need that thing. I didn't have any. I didn't have any of that then. I was completely by myself. I thought I could do it by myself too. I didn't think I needed to write with other people. I thought I could write all these songs by myself. I didn't need to write with these other writers. Yes.
Do you think pride got in the way?
Oh, it was all pride. I was 23 years old and I got a record deal. I was like, okay, wow, I'm doing it here. I'm gonna be a rock star. And that's all I wanted to do was be a rock star. I wanted to be,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. So
pretty crazy.
so at what point did you decide to relocate
When I
back to the
realized I
States?
wasn't a rock star, when I realized when I, I had a couple of singles in the UK, a couple
Mhm,
semi hits, but the singles kept charting. They're in the wrong direction. They
mhm.
kept going the wrong way and not getting higher positions on the charts. And so it came time to shop it to the United States, and we couldn't find a label that wanted to pick it up and take on the debt that the label had spent. And so I was in not a great place at that time. I
Mhm.
was not my best self. And I moved back to Virginia for about 2 months. I moved in my mom's house, and probably my lowest point in my life, because I was kind of like, came back to Virginia, to Roanoke, little small town where I had a record deal. And everybody thinks that you've done all this great stuff, but in my
Right.
mind, I was like complete failure. I was like, I went over there and it didn't work. It didn't go to the point
Right.
of where I wanted this to go. And so
Why do you think that is?
it was, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I didn't have the right team around me. I didn't know what I was doing. I
Mhm.
wasn't good enough. Looking at myself as a producer now,
Right.
seeing myself as an artist, I would have smacked me around so much. I would have just shook me,
Right.
kid, what are you doing? Like, don't, I would have, yeah, looking back, we wish we knew now.
Or we knew
Yeah.
then. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I said that wrong. I wish I knew then what I knew
So did I. So did I. So did I.
now. We both said it
We
wrong.
both said it wrong, and then we're both. I'm keeping that in there because that's good.
Okay. That's But I just always loved songwriting, Marcus, and I knew Nashville was the mecca of songwriting. I knew it was the mecca, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to write songs and produce records, and so I got in my Nissan Xterra and I drove to Nashville.
And you done one hell of a job.
Thanks, man.
You've done one hell of a job. So what's been the biggest sacrifice that you had to make? Because this becoming successful and becoming who you are, we especially in this music career,
Wow.
we go through things that you know we go through life and become successful that we have to. There's things that we have to, things that we want to do, or things that we don't want to let go of that we have to let go in order to move forward. So what's been the biggest sacrifice that you've made in your
Wow.
career?
Gosh, such a good question, man. It's a pretty deep question. Probably not having more time to be with my family or to be with my parents, because it's been all encompassing. It's a job that goes 24/7,
Mm-hmm.
365. It's
Mm-hmm.
if you're gonna do it at the level, it really is. It's all you think about. I just sometimes I wish. Sometimes I was like, man, let's throw it all away. As living
Yeah.
my life. But I do love doing it. It's my hobby and it's what I love doing. And so if you can make a living doing what you love doing, then I think that's a cool thing.
Yeah, it's not a job at that point.
It's not a job at that point. And whenever it starts to feel like a job, I do stop. I'm just like, I gotta get away from them for a minute.
Right.
But
That's yeah, because I always tell people who don't know much about this industry, especially my family, because I'm like, you don't understand that the music industry. I always wonder why. I'm like, I say, I'm tired. I'm like, I'm exhausted. Like, well, what do you do? Like, you don't understand. The music industry is this is it's not a 9 to 5 job. It's not a 9 to 5 career. Your shift starts even if you're like a manager, producer, or whatever in this
yeah, man.
industry. Your shift starts the time that you open your eyes, and it ends the time that you go to bed and you
That's
close your
true.
eyes.
Social media. Social media
Yes.
now is added to it. It is the time you open your eyes. You're
Yeah.
looking. What do you have to do? Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of how it is. So
So
um,
true, man.
that's and it's just a dog eat
You're
dog
right.
world
Most jobs are 9 to 5. You come home at 5 o'clock. You don't think about that job
until
from
the
5 to 9.
right. You
But
don't think about it.
with this job, it's like you might be finishing a song at 8:30 at night. You're doing something at 11:30 right before you go to bed, thinking about what you're gonna do the next day, and then yeah,
Or
because it's
or
about
or
yeah,
having a recording session at 2:30 in the morning. You know,
yeah,
those
which
things
is
happen.
super fun. Which is super fun, but yeah,
So what's so we found out what you would change. We found out what you would change. You would bring your wife with you. You would so let's talk about your sweet wife. What's her name?
Caitlin.
So when did you meet Caitlin?
We met when we were 15 at Myrtle Beach at a teenage dance club.
No shit.
Yeah.
No shit.
I was wearing jean shorts, a t-shirt, and a gold chain.
Kind of what I'm wearing right now. Yep.
Yeah, but you look a lot cooler than I do.
Yeah, probably. It's all right. I'm the Will Smith and you the Tommy Lee Jones of Men in Black. It's all right. I make this look good.
You make it look good. Exactly. You make it look good. I was trying to look like you.
That's not wrong. I mean, that's not a bad idea. It's not a bad.
I mean,
it's not a bad idea. All right. So, you've been married for how long?
11 years in this month.
11 years. How many kids?
3 kids.
Oh boy. Okay, so I'm sure that is your biggest accomplishment is those 3 kids.
Oh yeah, my daughter Iris is downstairs playing piano. She's a better songwriter than I am. And
How old is she?
Tell her she's 9 years old and like truly better than I am. Like I mean, when I was 9, I was barely know how to tie my shoes. Probably. I mean, what were we doing when we were 9 years old?
Yeah, I can't remember what I was doing 9 years old.
It's just amazing to see that, like to see kids these days are so talented.
Yeah, it's
that's my biggest
crazy.
accomplishment. That's my biggest. I try and always remember that. Like, yeah,
it's kind of crazy though, because kids nowadays I feel like kids nowadays are more advanced than what we were.
I agree, dude. 100%. 100%.
At their age, where they're so far. And that's technology, that's social media, that's everything. But that's everything. Yeah. Like they're just so far advanced than us. So let's talk about this EP. Somewhere There's a Light On. Let's talk about it. So here's my question. So you've had 29 #1 hits. You've produced #1 albums. You have CMAs, ACMs, BMI awards. So
why did you do this?
Why did you decide to go back to the artistry?
It's such a great question, man. It's like, why would I put myself through this again? Like the grind and the hustle.
Yeah.
It's because, maybe part of me, the fire never died in me, man. Once you do the artist thing, I am an artist, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been an artist the last 12 years in Nashville through other artists' records and doing that. But the fire never went away from me, and I never felt like I got to actually fulfill that dream of mine when I
Mm-hmm.
did London. And so I'm in such a better place as a human being. I'm in a place now where I can do it from a healthy place and put out songs that I feel are meaningful to me. And I know who I am now, 38 years later. I, a lot of therapy and a lot of self work, and being confident about it, and feeling like I have something to say, and studying great artists for the last 15 years, producing great artists and learning from Dierks Bentley and Kenny Chesney and Keith Urban, learning about what are these guys and girls doing that make them great artists, and soaking that up.
Mm-hmm.
So I've soaked up a lot in the last 15 years, and
Has
taking them all.
because I'm looking at it, all these rights, because you have a right with Ed Sheeran on here, which we'll talk about, and
Yeah,
Shane McAnally and Emily Wiseman. So I'm looking at all these things, but I want to know, because I'm sure these are people that you write with on a kind of a regular basis.
yeah, yeah.
So what is how is the process? Is the process different from your writing process, different from when it comes to you go in a room writing for you, go in a room writing for an artist? Is that different?
I haven't changed that yet. I just go into a room and I've always just tried to write the best song in the room. And I've never gone into a room saying, let's write for me today, because still the best thing to do is to write a song for the biggest artist possible.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason I write songs, is for the most people to hear my song
Mm-hmm.
possible. So if Blake Shelton is going to record my song, then it's always Blake Shelton's song first. That's always
Mm-hmm.
my MO. And so that's not going to change for me. Um, yeah, yeah,
I find it great. You mentioned Blake Shelton, and I find it great that he's had two recent number ones
yeah,
with his fiance, his future wife,
yeah,
Gwen Stefani. And for those of you who don't know this, those songs, both of those songs, were co-written by you.
yeah.
I did not. Here's
Two
the
of my
thing. I
favorites.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that until I looked it up, and I'm like, "Are you shitting me?" Because I love those songs, and I'm like, "Are you shitting me?" They did. He released two songs. Boy, first of all, it's kind of unheard of for a couple to release two songs back to back, unless they're
I
doing like a
know.
duet album or
I know,
something
it's
like that. So that
crazy.
was kind of unheard of. First of all, that's the first thing. But then to have those two songs go number one back to
Yeah.
back, it's
Yeah.
crazier. But what's the craziest part is that it was written by the same guy.
You
That's
know,
the,
I,
so.
I,
What was that like?
you know, the songs were written about a year and a half or so apart, but I like thinking about Blake when I write a lot, and I like thinking about their love story. I think about that, Gwen and Blake, and I think, what would a grown man like Blake like to say to his wife, future wife Gwen, and what would she like? I like thinking in that way. It helps me, and so writing those songs, we were channeling those love stories.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes I think about Keith and Nicole, and I think about what would Keith at this point in his life like to say to Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
A mature love song. That's kind of what I've been trying to do with my EP, is write pop songs that are easily digestible for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I have a hard time relating to Lil Yachty or like Lil Xan or like little new pop songs. I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about. You
Right.
know what I mean? I don't know this language even. I'm a 38-year-old dude that coaches soccer on the weekends for my 5-year-old girl. You know what I mean? So I like easily digestible pop songs, and those songs for Blake and Gwen were just that for me.
It's just crazy. I mean, it's funny you mentioned that the way that you do that and go into that mindset, because I just had a conversation with Rusty Gaston about how, you know,
Cool. He's my
he.
publisher.
I know. I know. We talked about how, you know, he likes it. He thinks it's okay for writers to go in the room and write with artists. But when you look back at the artists, like great artists, their biggest songs are not written by them. It's written by
A lot of times,
songwriters. Yeah.
yeah.
So it's like he loves that idea, but he only loves the idea for people to start for his writers to start the relationships with the artists, so they can get to know the artists, get to
You know
know
what's funny, Marcus? Now that I'm back in the artist seat, I've realized when you're writing a song and thinking about yourself as the artist, you self-sabotage it a lot because you overthink.
Mhm.
I've seen so many artists do this. Oh, would I say that? Is that me?
Mhm.
And then the song gets jumbled up and it's not as great as it can be. So I think that's the explanation a lot of times for that. Unless, I mean, Ed Sheeran, one of the greatest songwriters to ever exist.
Right.
But when he's writing a song, I've been with him. He writes 3 songs in a session. He writes them quickly, doesn't overthink, writes it, finishes it, closes the book, on to the next one, on to the next one. So he's not thinking, oh, would I say this? Is this melody something I would sing? He writes it, on to the next one. And I feel like that's truly the most effective way.
Wow. Just go in there and have a free mind.
Just free mind, just write.
Just
Just don't let yourself sabotage it. I've seen it so many times. I do it when I'm in a session. I'm like, oh, this is starting to feel like something that I might want to put out. I start sabotaging it, overthinking it. Hold on, maybe this isn't the right chorus. Like maybe the melody should be better, and you sabotage it.
Wow.
It's kind of that blink reaction. You go with your first blink, like that first melody we did, that was it. That was fire, you know.
It's to go along with the instincts. Let's go with your instinct,
Exactly.
go with your gut.
Trusting your instincts, going with your gut, and not letting the little voice in your head.
Fuck you over.
It applies to daily life, man.
Right.
It's that little voice. It's your dark side that is just telling you you're not good enough. You can't sing that song. You can't do this. You're people don't take you seriously. You're a fraud. All these little things, you just gotta like shut those out, you know.
So you mentioned Ed Sheeran. Now we're gonna get to that song because we're gonna talk about electricity. There's 3 songs on here that I just fucking love. So but we're gonna talk about this electricity. First of all, how the hell did you get in the room with Ed Sheeran? That's the first thing. That's
the first. It was always my dream. It was always my dream.
He is no bullshit. I've been to a lot of concerts. I went to his concert drunk or buzzed. We're gonna say buzz for public ears. I went to his concert buzzed in Nashville. This was his first headlining tour. At
the stadium.
No, at Bridgestone Arena.
Bridgestone, yeah.
And we were on the floor. And no bullshit. He got up on that stage, and I sobered up after second song because
you're like, you realize what greatness you're witnessing.
Yes,
right? You're like,
yes,
I'm in the presence of greatness.
I'm sitting there like holy, and I'm like, when you can he made 17,000 people, and he said, all right, I need everybody to be quiet on this, so like really listen to the song.
Imagine when that dude's sitting in a room with you singing, "She is electricity." I'm like,
my God.
What was that? What was that you just did, dude? Literally that happened. I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave now. Okay, I was like, why am I here? Okay.
Man, I sobered up because it's like I just felt so moved.
Yeah, man.
So moved.
He is a moving human being, dude. His talent is ridiculous. It's got to be what it's like seeing Paul McCartney or seeing Michael Jackson or like seeing that level of greatness.
And then when you see it and you realize that, oh shit, he doesn't have a band. It's just him and a damn loop pedal. Like, are you shitting me?
It's unbelievable. It's ridiculous.
So let's talk about the experience, because you just talked about how you were just like
Yeah,
this is one of your goals. This is what, like, he's one of the greatest of all time in this industry when it
one of
comes
the
to
greatest of all
songwriting.
time, dude. 100%.
So what was that experience like? What was the inspiration going into this with electricity?
It was just humbling, man. I showed up with a guitar, my laptop, and I had some tracks ready to go to play for him. And I just sat down and he videoed the whole session. He had a camera rolling the whole time. So there's video footage of us writing all these songs actually somewhere in the world. But it's just man, humbling. We wrote 12 songs together while he was in Nashville in about 3 weeks. His goal was to have a #1 country song. So I was like, Ed, let me help you do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I called Kenny Chesney, I called Kelsey Ballerini, I called Sam Hunt, Thomas Rhett. I had all these artists like flying in from California to come meet us to write for a day. And
Wow.
Kelsey took the red eye back from LA, and we wrote a song called Love and Hate, which is on her last album together.
I did not know that y'all wrote that. Holy shit.
Yeah, and Tip of My Tongue with Kenny Chesney.
Yes.
Kenny
Yes.
Kenny was in town and he drove over and wrote with us, and we wrote 3 songs. We wrote 3 Kelsey songs too. We wrote 3 songs with each artist.
Wow.
Crazy. And so
Holy
I'm still
shit.
sitting on this batch of songs that they're still like these some of the greatest songs I have.
Has the Thomas Rhett song come out yet?
We didn't get to do a Thomas song, and it eats him alive. Thomas has since written with it. Thomas was out of town and couldn't make it.
Right.
No, it was Thomas's wife's birthday, the day that we were supposed to write. Thomas had to bail because he felt like he had to be there for his wife's birthday, and Kenny Chesney was available and came that day, and we wrote that song. But Thomas has since written with him.
I bet Laura, if she ever listens to this podcast, I bet she's finding out the story about, oh shit, are you shitting me?
You know what? She was like, wow, I have the best husband in the world.
Yeah.
He chose me over Ed Sheeran, which is a true testament to Thomas. You know what I mean? Like, because Ed is one of Thomas's favorites, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, he's a huge Thomas Rhett and Bruno Mars, Ed Sheeran and Bruno Mars fan.
Which, by the way, like the day after I wrote with Ed, I find out that Bruno Mars and Chris Stapleton came over to the house and wrote with him. They wrote that song. That
was on his duets album.
On the duets album, yeah. I was like, oh, I didn't get the call for that day. Okay.
Could you imagine?
Oh, I couldn't have imagined being there for that, man.
Can you imagine being in that room
with Bruno? I mean, I can't imagine.
So let's talk also now. So we have now the next song that I want to talk to you about, because you got 2 other greats in this town who has helped Kelsey Ballerini and helped, Sam Hunt, Shane McAnally.
Yeah.
And Josh Osborne, and you guys wrote Somewhere There's a Light On.
2 of the greatest to ever do this, not only in our format, of all time, in all formats, those 2.
Yeah.
And we wrote that song probably 3 years ago, and that title was everything for me. That title is like my life motto. Like, that title is why I left London. Somewhere There's a Light On. I knew somewhere out there was something, a light burning somewhere for me. It wasn't there though, and like, my goal in my music is to inspire people to feel like, if when that voice in their head tells them they're not good enough, that you are good enough, and there is good out there, and so we wrote that song, and it got really close to getting cut by a few artists. Kenny Chesney's record label really wanted it for him. It never kind of crossed that line, and it just kind of was sitting around for a long time, and I always just knew that was like my song. All these years, I was kind of hoping it wouldn't get cut secretly.
Right.
And then I just felt like it had to be the name of this EP. It was everything for me.
So now you just had a question popped in my head for this. So you talk about getting the cuts, and you talk about getting the songs with artists. What's the song that you have gotten cut that wasn't a single that you wish was a single? Or you thought should have been a single?
So many. There's so many, man. There's so many. I don't even know where to start. I mean, There's a song on Kenny Chesney's last album called "Everyone She Knows."
Yes.
Me, Shane, and Josh wrote it, and we think it's maybe the best song we've ever written. Everyone she knows.
Wow.
It was gonna be a single. It never happened. I'm not sure why, but that I think is maybe the best song we've ever written.
I love that song. As you can tell, I am a huge fan. I am a huge Ross Copperman fan. If you guys can't tell, uh,
Uh,
I love that song. There's a lot of songs that I feel like Kenny has put on his albums that could have
I agree.
been
He,
singles.
but that just shows what a good song guy Kenny Chesney is. He
Yeah.
chooses the best songs in town, and guess what? He doesn't write them. And guess what?
Yes.
He's also one of the best songwriters in this town.
Wow.
But he knows that pick the best songs.
That's what it
And you
comes
pick the
to.
best songs. You sell a couple t-shirts at a stadium, you're gonna make more money than if you had written the song.
Exactly.
So you get
Exactly. So what's your favorite song off this EP?
oh man. It might actually be Therapy. Just because it's
Really?
so different, and it's just I feel like I'm in a video game. Like I just love how the verses just kind of wrapped, and landing on "Your love is my therapy." Oh, it's that song is just so different for me, and I've always loved it.
And so now, because now you're doing the artist thing, you're still doing the songwriting thing, obviously.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
is there as an artist and as a songwriter, is there someone that you want to work with that you haven't worked with yet?
Yeah, so many. Chris Martin would be I mean, I would just like shrivel up and melt into a
Wow.
puddle. But
Wow.
I mean, there's so many. I mean, I'd love to work with Ryan Tedder.
Yeah, you need to set that up with Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy, they're boys, right? They
Yeah,
are, aren't
boys.
they?
They are boys.
Jimmy is tied in, man.
Yeah,
Jimmy,
you need to set that up.
there's so many. Yeah, Chris Martin.
That's crazy. So are you happy with how successful you become, or and I mean that like not in the way where like, oh yeah, I'm tourism happy. Like, are you happy with it, or is there always a want for more out of it?
Oh, always I want more. I always don't feel like I've done enough. You know, it's hard when I'm comparing myself to my friends like Ashley Gorley, who's written 54 number one songs.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, God, Ashley's got okay. I need to get to 50 then, and then I can like, okay.
And then when Ashley gets to 60, you be like, I need to get to
And then
60.
Ashley is 60, and then it's like, what is happening here? It's like, yeah. So there's never a moment where I'm like, oh, I'm done it here. I'm never like stop, which is not good. But I
Do
never
you,
stop to celebrate anything.
do you stay in tune with like new artists and new writers coming in town? And
Oh my gosh, yeah.
so what's a new writer? What's a new writer? Not necessarily an artist, but who's a new writer that you're like, this person has it. Like, this person is going to be a fucking rock star. They may not have had a number one hit yet, or not, or even a cut yet.
You know, I actually wrote with this kid today named Graylin James. The first time I ever met
Yeah,
him.
he wrote "Knowing You" for Kenny.
He did. I'd never met this guy, and I was just like blown away. You know, the talent of these young writers is mind blowing. This
Yeah,
kid's like,
it's a crazy. It's funny you say that, because it's a crazy story about him, and how it was a full circle for him to have this single, because he met Kenny when he
yeah.
was young.
Oh yeah, he talked about that.
He met Kenny when he was young, because it went viral on like TikTok. He met Kenny when he was young, and now like, or at a concert or something like that. Back when I think Kenny was like starting out, or Kenny was was just starting to be that huge phenomenon that he is now.
Oh wow.
And now he was like, that was like who he wanted to be. He wanted to be Kenny Chesney, and now it's like you have what I think is
so cool.
probably Kenny's next number one hit.
Absolutely.
on your record, and like that's the person, that's the idol you've had.
How cool is that? How
Yeah.
cool is that?
Yeah, life is like like this music industry is definitely, especially in this town, it's so easy to be able to be to get close
Yeah.
to your idol and get in a room with
I
someone
just
who
did a
encouraged you.
song called Half My Hometown. I wrote it and produced it with Kelsey Ballerini.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she just put the video out today. And I just watched it. And it's all about how she grew up in Knoxville,
Mm-hmm.
going to the Kenny Chesney concert, you know? We wrote that song. She looked up to Kenny, you know?
Yeah,
We wrote that song down at the beach. We called Kenny. We're like, at midnight, Kenny, you got to sing on this. Because it's about Knoxville, half your hometown. And it's the same kind of story. And now they're
yeah.
singing this song together and like,
It's
mind blowing.
it's
She was the
insane.
same way. She was a little girl growing up listening to Kenny.
Yeah, yeah.
Wanted to play the arena in Knoxville like he was, you know?
I freaked out when I met Kenny. Kenny was my first country concert,
That's amazing.
and I freaked out. I was not supposed to be there. Don't do this, people. I I snuck into the number one party for Everything's Gonna Be All Right with him and David Lee Murphy,
Wow.
and snuck in there. I used I used EB's name to get in. They called her and she got me in. She let me go in, and I was standing next to someone, and Kenny was right in front of me, and I said, 15-year-old Marcus is doing cartwheels right now, standing this close to Kenny Chesney. And I didn't realize that he heard me because we thought we were whispering to each other about it. And he turns around and he goes, "Hi, I'm Kenny." And I'm like, "Oh,
That is
my God."
amazing, Marcus.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's so easy to get in the room or get to that level where you're, I don't want to say easy, but like it's more common in this town.
It is. You're right. It's like a fake reality. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So listen, I don't want to take too much of more of your time.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
thank you for coming on.
Marcus, you're awesome, man. I love talking to you.
I love having you on here.
Awesome.
We need to do this again. I definitely want to have you on, maybe in person next time.
Sure. With the cigars.
With some cigars. We'll make it happen. So seriously, thank you so much. This has been a tremendous episode. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for everything you do for encouraging new writers, and thank you for putting out music and speaking to people who just need to hear the songs, because I'm sure that's what every songwriter wants to do.
Man.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. That's it. That's everything for me.
Yeah. So I appreciate that. This has been another episode of Spoken Section Podcast with the one, the only 29 number one hits. And now, I'm not going to say new artist, but relaunching his artist career, Ross Copperman. Y'all go check out his new music. All right. Thanks.